man. So give it up. Welcome to the DMEZURES Podcast, where the music is drastic, the measures are drastic, the bars are drastic. That means they are far-reaching with a long-lasting effect. Now, in case you've got some newcomers here and you don't know, this show is all about music. It's about musicians, and it's about where those two things intersect with social responsibility. At its core, it's a conversation about the importance of music and its creators in today's society. I am your host, Ryan Harris, aka King Midas, aka DMEZURES, aka Sir Lupalot. I have spent 20 years in this music business working behind the scenes to help thousands of musician makers effectively share their art with the world. And it is my sincere and humble pleasure to highlight up-and-coming artists and discuss their views on some of today's most controversial topics. Drastic. Okay. So, before we get into today's topic and today's guest, just want to lay a few ground rules. There may be some conversation pieces that are a little bit taboo for some people. There may be some language that's a little bit strong, but we're gonna do our best to keep it family friendly. With me today from Las Vegas, Nevada, I got an up-and-coming artist named TO-The-Sys. Now, I met this gentleman a few months back and got the chance to chop it up with him about several topics that are near and dear to me concerning the music business and the current state of hip-hop. And what stuck out to me most about this brother was his work ethic. Crazy work ethic, crazy passion for his craft, and most importantly, his professionalism in presenting his brand. Got a chance to listen to some of the music that he's working on and that's about to come out. And I gotta say, I'm impressed. So without further ado, y'all give it up for TO-The-Sys. Yeah, we like to make a lot of noise around here for people that we bring on. So soak it in, man. Yup. TO-The-Sys, what it do, baby?
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain. It's a little bit cold down here in Houston for some reason. Somebody got a weather machine or something. I don't know what's happening. It'll get cold for like a day and then be hot the rest of the week. So it's one of them days.
Bipolar, man. Came out here in Vegas.
Yeah, man. I see you looking good, man. You're looking fresh. Keeping yourself together.
Yeah, man. I always got to try to stay presentable for the most part, man. And that's even just getting everything together, Had to take the hold us, but we here.
Absolutely. Listen, so I got a chance to listen to the music and really catch on to your brand, but I know you're new to the to the hip hop scene and new to some of the listeners here of the DMEZURES Podcast. So do me a favor, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your journey. How did you get into music, and when did you first find out that you had a talent for this art form that we call rap?
Man, it literally goes back into, childhood stages. As a child, I remember, me and my mom, and my siblings, we went through our rough stages in life where we, originally coming from Little Rock, Arkansas, we had to make a brief transition from Arkansas to Illinois, Chicago to Illinois. And out there, I was able to bond with my uncle on my mom's side. Rest in love, my uncle Mark Harris. Miss him dearly. He was an inspiration to me as a child because growing up with him, when I got there, everybody got that uncle that practically keep their nephew by their side like it's their son, and he used to take me everywhere, man. But he was into music. I remember just, going in his room and just looking at all the posters on. That's one of the first rooms I seen where it's like, you had all these hip hop posters and, just catch your eye or whatever, and then him having this stereo set up, his headphones, he was deep off into it. I mean, all the latest, music at that time, but he was a real Snoop Dogg fan, he was, I remember that's the year Doggy Style album first came out.
Doggy Style. And, shout out to Snoop.
So we went and I went with him to the store, and he had bought it, and I remember riding in the car. We bumped in on the way back, and I guess at that time for him that was an inspiration for him to, even with him doing his music, he started writing a lot too. So I used to watch him write, and that kind of put me in the stage because I wanted to be like him. You know, I would sit there and watch him, and then I would start trying to do it. I remember sometimes he would laugh at me because it was like, you know, I'd sit down with the little notebook. He'd be like, "Boy, what you doing?" I was like, "I'm writing like you," you know, writing whatever. You know, he just crack up laughing at me or whatever. You know, I remember a couple times he'd be like, "Rap something," you know, and I try and rap or whatever. He just said, just tickle him or whatever. But watching him do that, you know, over that time with him, man, that's where it started, I would say. Absolutely. Definitely where it started, because that transitioned into, you know, us going back, you know, to Lil Rock when I left him. It was just something that was forever imprinted on me, impression on me or whatever. And over the years, as years passed, when I ended up settling in Las Vegas with my father, you know, in middle school, you had your group of friends where everybody, you know, vibing together. You know, we saw always, you know, having fun, this freestyle, you know, playing around with a freestyle and listening to our favorite song. You know, those all kind of artists that inspired me during that phase of that time. You're talking the 90s, so, you know, you had your Pac influence, you know, still Snoop influence, Dr. Dre, you know, Death Row was definitely the thing. I mean, let's go East Coast, Biggie, Mace, and all of them. Like, it was so many different ones. And then being with the experience of Midwest, you know, of course, Twista, you know, Thugs and Harmony. Like, I had so many different, you know, people that just caught my attention at that time. So
a lot of influences, it sounds like. A lot of different influences from both coasts.
Yeah. And by the time I hit high school, it turned into a battling thing, because that's when the battling was in. So, you know, I used to freestyle battle all the time. We in high school beating on the lockers and got a hallway full of people out there, you know, that's surrounding you, you know, and I was pretty good at it at that time. So a lot of people used to, you know, if they find somebody in the school that they felt like was hot, they used to be like, "Oh man, y'all got to battle, you know, whatever, we'll do that." And over that time, it transitioned from me and my acting manager now, who used to rap with me, you know, his father bought him a recording studio set up when we was in the 11th grade. That was his birthday gift, because his dad used to see us always out there, you know, rapping all the time.
So Thesis, let me ask you this. What was the turning point? At what point was you like, listen, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do full time. This is what I want to spend my time on, my life on, and pursuing and sharing with the world. What was that turning point for you?
During that time, because I realized how serious my homeboy was. We actually both attended, which is community college out here, College of Southern Nevada, or you know, engineering course or whatever. That wasn't my passion at the time. I ended up leaving that because I was more so on the writing side of it. But what it was, it became serious with him, because in order to record, he had this rule: no freestyling. You have to sit down and you have to write. You know, we're not going to go over here.
That's curious. I'm curious about that. Let me just interject, if you don't mind, because a lot of artists nowadays, the I guess popular thing is to not write. I just get in the booth and go. I don't write. I just get in the booth and go. So what I'm hearing you say is that's not you. You put pen to pad whenever you are actually doing your creation.
Definitely.
I got you. Now, why is that? What is the difference for you? What is it that you think is what do you gain from doing pen to pad as opposed to just coming stream of consciousness out the top of the dome in the booth?
You know what I realized at that point is, because he said something valuable to me during that phase. He was like, "Man, you be freestyling sometimes," and you know, he was like, "You don't remember what you said, and you say some of the loudest things." And he was like, "You know, I honestly believe if you took your time to actually sit down and write a song, you know, and actually pin it in stone, then yeah." Now, you do have people that can freestyle and actually freestyle the whole song. I mean, I've been in those sessions. I've actually done it before, but it's like, you know, I freestyle, I mess up, I stop, I pick up where I left off.
Right. And that's actually how most people are doing it too. It's rare that it's a full song, you know, one take all the way down. Most people are kind of going line by line. Even Wayne, when I see Wayne in the booth doing it, he'll go line by line. Now he's picking what he's saying. This, you know, he's coming with some bars. But it ain't necessarily a pen and a pad. It's just line by line, mouth to the mic, you know, putting it together. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for sure. That's cool. That's real cool. So would you say that Well, let me ask you this. I ask everybody this because here again at the DMEZURES Podcast, we believe that music is magic, and we believe that musicians are magicians. And what I mean by that is that, you know, if you can wield that power of music to influence people, that to me, that's a superpower. Y'all are like superheroes to me. You know what I'm saying? So with how I think like that, like my question for you would be, what would you say is your strength when it comes to this music shit? Like, is your strength in, you know, wordplay? Is your strength in melodies? Is your strength in, you know, songwriting, storytelling? What would you say is your strength when it comes to this music?
Definitely songwriting, storytelling. Another thing is the delivery process of me, you know, and the matter of which I form my bars or whatever, you know. I've gotten that a lot where, you know, they like, oh man, the way you switched it up, you know, I liked how you switch it up, how you tend to switch it up. Also, I think I would consider my style more of an abstract style, the way I come, you know, with my approach to it, but to be versatile with it too as well, you know.
I've never heard that thesis. I've never heard of the abstract style. Like, elaborate on that for me. Like, what do you mean by abstract?
For example, like, you know, most people when they come off, like the producer would tell me, he was like, man, you know, where people expect me to come off at, I don't come off. I come off before it, the drive or after the drive. You know, the way that I ride the beat, you know, as far as it goes. I think that played a lot of a role in me developing my particular style of artist that I am, you know, as far as that goes. And definitely just my ear for music, you know, man, like I have this thing where it's like, you know, when I do hear a track, you know, our producer presents something to me and I'm listening to it, man, I like to catch every element of that beat and also allow that beat to speak to me before I even began to form words that I will put in the pad to, because I want to be connected. So if I feel like if that beat is talking to me, then that puts me in a position to talk back in a manner that brings the best out of me. Got you.
That's amazing, because I think the thing that is key when it comes particularly to rap is having your own style and having something that sets you apart from you know, because rap tends to be such a it can be just a flat line performance when you're just talking about spitting bars or just, you know, you're talking on time, you know. So having some sort of cadence or some sort of unique way that you approach the beat is definitely important. And I just got to say, when I'm listening to some of the stuff that I've listened to, like particularly $1 Million, I love that joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was banging it all last night, and you know, the way that you lay the hooks on there, the cadence that you have on the verses is impressive. You know what I'm saying? So I see what you're saying. But yeah, I had to have you elaborate, because a lot of times when people say abstract, you know, the first thing you might think is weird. What does that mean? You know,
but no. I actually embrace weird on that, because that's a part of what I feel like I want. I don't want it to be predictable.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to throw the listener off a little bit to actually see where I'm going, because by the time you will get, you know, about midway through it, you'll be like, okay, I see, you know, in what direction that he's going with it. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, that can work against you or it can work in your favor. It depends on what the listener wants to listen to. But if they've had the opportunity to really listen, then more so often they come out liking it, versus like, oh, nah, man, you know, that was alright, or, you know, oh, man, I don't like that, bro, you know, or whatever. Right. So, you know, that's something that I've always, like, you know, strive for with being a writer, as far as I know, which is why I like to take my time writing.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, hey, listen, speaking of writing, we get ready to segue into our next section here on the podcast, and it's really my favorite section, because it again speaks to really our the whole reason for why we do what we do. You know what I mean? You get a chance to really get under the skin and see what people think about the world and what they're doing to address those thoughts and feelings. So we like to play a little game here called What You Think About. And the way it works is I'm gonna say, yo, Thesis, what you think about? And I'm gonna say a specific word. Okay. Or I'm gonna say a specific name, or I might say a specific topic, and then you get X number of minutes to pontificate, if you will, about that particular topic, person, personality, or thing. So just for example, I might say something like, yo, Thesis, what you think about my man James Harden?
Right.
You might run off with something. Now, me particularly, I'm not really happy with James Harden because he left us high and dry. But the man can ball. I ain't gonna hate on him. You know what I'm saying? He can do what he do. I just want him to get a championship and stop, scoring. Scoring don't get you championships. But anyway, I digress. All right, so that's the way we play the game. So to get into the topic today, I'm gonna say, yo, Thesis, what you think about Joe Rogan?
Not really big on him. I can't really give a honest assessment of what I think about him.
Let me be more specific. Joe Rogan, we're talking about the multi-million-dollar deal podcaster with Spotify who got a lot of controversy this week and last week for using the N-word on his podcast.
You know what? You are correct. Correct. I did read an article on that, and they tried to cancel a couple of his podcasts for that. I know a couple of artists have petitioned to even have their stuff removed from his content.
Right, absolutely. And you got like India.Arie pulled her music for Spotify.
Yeah, India.Arie. Yeah, okay. I did read up on him, but from me reading it, honestly, like I said, we're in a time where cancel culture is real. Yeah. I wouldn't want to pass an immediate judgment on the guy to speak on his character because I haven't really had enough time to really just go through and check out a lot of his podcasts to see what he really stands for. So, in this time, in my honest assessment of him or how I feel, I'm kind of like in a neutral standpoint, like, hey, to each his own. At the same time, you learn from what you go through. You shouldn't have said it or whatever the case. You use it. We already know what times we're living in. If he's in a position that he's in to be such a big person like he is on Spotify, I believe that's something that you got to think about. How they say, choose your words wisely. Before you speak. All of that. So
absolutely. So I hear that, and I guess for me, it's one of those things where it seems like the way he was using the word was taken out of context. But again, to your point, I don't think any person of the Caucasian persuasion should ever be using that word on a public platform. Ever.
Exactly.
That's my personal opinion. I've talked to lots of other people and people of color who have varying and different opinions about it. But as it pertains to hip hop, that seems to be such a touchy subject because that word is prevalent in all of hip hop music. Obviously, you've got it in some of your lyrics. It's in lyrics, of any of the top 50 rappers that you can hear in music today. So, my question for you is, as for where we are right now in the culture. How do you feel about that word? Do you feel like it's time to let that go, or do you think is cool to continue in light of situations like the Joe Rogan situation, given the fact that rap is such a popular, probably the most popular genre in the world? If it's a word that we don't like to hear from white people, is it something that we should stop using in the music that we're selling to them?
That right there that's a good assessment. I would say to that, honestly, being in the culture that we are in, and this is just it's a part of everyday use. But it's like, okay, even in our black culture, right? We could say it's black culture with brother is talking to a brother and they using the term nigga, or a female talking to a female and they using the term bitch. But then, right? So it's like, okay, you can call your homegirl a bitch, but if I call you a bitch, you upside my head. Or whatever, things like that. And I think it's almost in the same embracement of going on a racial standpoint of it. It's like, okay, some people say, well, hey, you can say nigga, but you can't say nigger. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And in the terms of which you used it. But then you have to also with people where they try and, this is the racial standpoint of it, where I feel like a white person that tries to embrace Black culture, and a part of that, they feel like that word for some reason makes them accepted to be able to use that word, but then you have the side that use it condescendingly too.
Right.
And funny in a jokingly manner. Oh, what's up, my nigga? Something like that, and okay, well, what was your intent by saying that? So I think it's meant, our culture is our culture. I mean, it's something that we've always been through. I also think, man, in this time, man, that, with everything is so sensitive, it's a sensitive time amongst just the world, period, that, if boundaries should be set, then if it was meant to be set, they would be set, but we just don't live in that world right now. I think it's just a matter of understanding the side of it and choosing to use your words wisely on it. I try, this is me, I'm saying I try to control my use of it in the music or whatever. But sometimes it rolls off so naturally you don't even realize you even wrote it down.
But isn't that the point though? Like why does it roll off so naturally? Now let me preface that question with this.
Okay.
I'm torn because I understand where the word comes from. Like if you ever seen like the movie Roots.
Right.
Like when you watch Roots, the white people in Roots aren't saying nigger, they're saying nigga. They aren't saying nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so nigga is just, the A is just like a Southern slang version of the nigger, right? Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing. So it makes it even trickier, right? And then fast forward to the 80s, hip hop starts coming around, right? Black people almost have been programmed to use that word because they've been called it so much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I start to think, all right, is this some sort of a mental condition that we have because we've been conditioned, we've been called that word, and then we hear some of our hip hop leaders say, okay, well, that's our word now. Like we've taken that word and we've flipped it and we've turned it into a term of endearment amongst each other. Well, when they hear it, they don't hear it as a term of endearment. In my opinion. The ones who are racist, because I'm not saying all white people are racist, but the ones who are racist, they don't hear it as a term of endearment. They hear you calling yourself what they've been calling you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of torn because I'm like, it seems like it's self-deprecating, and it feels like it's condescending, even though we say we're trying to use it as a term of endearment. And then even still, it ain't always used as a term of endearment. It's used as a term to degrade, even amongst ourselves sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Like I love hip hop. I'm a hip hop head. But if hip hop is the, being a hip hop head and embracing Black culture is the prerequisite for using that word, I can be honest, there's some white people that are bigger hip hop heads than I am. They know more shit about hip hop than me. So I don't want to hear them saying that. Don't call me that. And I'm not gonna say it around you. I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it around you. I cringe when I hear, if I'm listening to Boys in the Hood, or if I'm listening to NWA around somebody of the Caucasian persuasion, because I know what that lyrical content is filled with. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man, but I just thought it would be an interesting thing to understand from a rapper and an artist standpoint how you felt about that word, particularly how somebody so prominent like a Joe Rogan is in trouble for using it right now. And it's an interesting situation. All right, so enough of that one. I got one more for you. Bill Cosby. What you think about Bill Cosby?
Man, definitely. That was a conflict one too, because it's like, man, he's a legend, but then you always left with that thought in the back of your head, like, bro, did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got that split down the side amongst our culture. You got people that still gonna stand behind them, just and like, oh, they just trying to ruin his legacy. They're just trying to do this, they're just trying to do that. But we don't know what went on in the background before as all of that goes. I hated to see somebody like him because I grew up watching the Cosby Show.
Right. Right.
That was definitely that was like the standard definition for Black family. Example of Black family.
Right.
And to see how he set that tone and that example, and to go from that to being behind the scenes as being pretty much a predator to a standpoint of what they painted him out to be. It's just that's one of those things where it's like, damn, guys, damn, bro. You know, like I hate to see it, but I don't. Yeah. You know, it could be his word against theirs. They say it's three sides to every story: your side, their side, and the truth. So the truth.
How you know he wasn't doing favors?
You know what I'm saying? It's something that could just be that we'll never know. You know, we'll never know. Then they put the conspiracy where he tried to buy NBC or whatever, buy ABC network or whatever. You know,
NBC.
You know, and he wanted to do that. You know, and you know, maybe put more of opportunity out there for black shows and all of that type of stuff. And maybe that's why they did it. It's always some type of weird conspiracy behind things. Now, I can't say this. Every time somebody comes up, when it comes to that and it comes to a prominent name, it's always something like this that comes and take them out. And it's taking out a lot of our legends.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, now if we would say R. Kelly, like, nigga, you got caught up. You had tapes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Evidence. You can't get out of that.
Evidence on you know what I'm saying? So it's like that right there is a different standpoint. But then look, Sony Snoop out there, bro. Now he's getting allegations of what he possibly may have done to a woman in the past. But why wasn't this brought up when Snoop was still just regular Snoop? Why does it come at these times?
Right.
So, you know, it always, it's like they're destroying us. At the same time, we gotta wonder at the back of our mind, like, what have these individuals done behind the scenes that led them to even be at that point?
Right.
Because if you fly low, you stand out the way, then there should be nothing that can come, you know, in your direction.
Right. I think particularly for people like Snoop and R. Kelly, you know, a lot of what got them in trouble was exacerbated or accented by, you know, the music and the shit that they be talking about in their music, and, you know, even in some of the stuff that they do on stage and in performances. So, you know, again, going back to kind of the central theme of, you know, our conversation, social responsibility. You know what I'm saying? When we see these kinds of things happening in society, and when we understand that, you know, us as musicians, because I get out on the beats too. I just want to let y'all know I still do what I do. You know, even though we interview thesis. But us, I'm gonna say us as musicians and artists, recording artists. You know, let me ask you: do you feel that we have a social responsibility versus artists just art, and I, as an artist, should be able to say whatever I feel without the consequences thereof? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I do believe that to be successful and in a position to do that, then that should come with a social responsibility, because at the end of the day, we're trying to leave an everlasting impression on our listeners. Now, you know, we've spoken about this, how the power of music, the musicians, the magicians standpoint of it. I mean, if you the energy you put in a song, that you display in a song, is the energy that is going to send out and touch people with, you know?
Right.
So I think each artist should think about what they standpoint is, but you do have artists that believe in that. Like, okay, I rap about riding on niggas and shooting niggas and this and that and all of this, and that's what they stand for. And they know that's what they're doing. And they know that somebody's probably gonna go out there and listen to their song and go ride on somebody or shoot somebody to their lyrics. And that's their social standpoint of it. They don't care about social responsibility. But then we live in a hypocritical time where you rap about this, but then when you caught up, now you're preaching righteousness, or you want to get out the way of what you got yourself caught up in. You also got artists losing their lives behind it now. You know, so I think as an artist, what I like to look for in it is that, I've always tried to put a message in everything I write. And I've never, in my standpoint, promoted that type of music, you know, doing that type of music. I've avoided doing features with other, you know, up-and-coming artists based off of what they may have stood for in their songs. You know, I'm no saint. I come from a past of being in the streets out here. I come from a past of being gang related. I come from a past of, you know, all of that. I've been to prison. I've been through all of these type of things. But when I got out, that's not what I wanted me to be. You know what I mean? When I got back into music, that's not what I wanted to promote.
Right.
You know, it has to be a reason there behind it, especially because the devil was one of the greatest musicians.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He can manipulate you through his sounds, and you become his follower.
Absolutely.
Music is spiritual, you know. So it depends on your standpoint of how you want to do it. But we do.
The power can be used for good or evil. Absolutely.
Yes. So it should come with a social responsibility, I believe.
Absolutely.
But getting people to fall in line with that is another question.
It is. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, if you look at Star Wars, you look at the Jedis, you know what I'm saying? You know, you had Darth Vader, which was one of the, you know, the greatest Jedis, but he was evil, you know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of a reference point for the fact that, you know, power is amoral. You know what I'm saying? But it's what you do with the power is what makes it moral or immoral. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now, particularly here in society. And when you look at everything that's going on in media, and when you look at what's happening in tech now with TikTok and how everything is so fast and so quick and accessible, you know, and music is so fast and quick and accessible. You know what I'm saying? And kids nowadays have, like, my kids can get on in the internet and see shit that I never would have saw, you know what I'm saying, as a kid their age, you know what I'm saying? Just because, like, as a parent have to watch out for that, for them. I mean, those are dangers and things that we didn't have to face when I was, you know, a teenager or when I was a grade schooler, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate your point on, you know, the understanding that artists do have a social responsibility, because I believe that to be the case. I honestly do. I think that, you know, if you are going to be on a platform or elevated to a platform where thousands of people can be influenced by what you say and what you do, that's power. And with power, great power comes great responsibility. And unfortunately, everybody don't see it that way. So again, that's what we do here at, you know, on this podcast, is we like to talk about that kind of stuff. With that said, I just want to ask you, you know, I know you have a few things coming down the pipeline. Tell the people what you got coming up in the future.
Definitely. Right now, I'm in the mix of completing what I'm calling the process. It's a series of EPs. It's already one out. EP 1, Opening Statements, is pretty much out on all social platforms or whatever.
Okay.
It's going to be a series of 1 through 4. So right now, everything is the process. And by that, I mean, you know, even with me getting back into the groove of, you know, putting myself back out there, I wanted to showcase the actual start to ending of going through the process of creating music, you know, your creative process, your approach, what you're putting out there, what you're talking about, you know, to give people a little bit more of an understanding of who I am with each EP, I should say. And that right there is my main focal point right now, is to make sure that all those are completed, because I'm building up for my album that will be coming after that, which is the Life versus the Dream. And the reason why I'm building up for that is because we all go through that as artists. Everybody got to deal with life, especially when you're talking about independent artists, up-and-coming artists. You always got life that seems to conflict with the dream. It's so rare that they tend to just work hand in hand, and you just, you know, floor. You just, you know, you soar, you elevate, because there's always something on this end, and it's always these times where you have to make these choices. You know, is your choice gonna be to let life get the best of you, or is your choice gonna be to keep pushing through it? Because there's always gonna be hurdles we gotta jump over, you know, to get where we gotta get to. And that comes with sacrifice. So that's what I'm building up to, is to get people to know who I am through the process, and actually lead them into Life versus the Dream.
So give us the plug, man. Where can people find you at? Or what's your IG or your, you know?
Everything is pretty much, if you go to my my link, which is actually, I have it right here. It's solo.
We got it. Yeah, we got it. You just we'll put it up on the screen for everybody. But what's you got an IG handle if people want to follow you on IG? IG
is at thesis_1 PME. That's THESYS_1 PME. Same thing on TikTok, Twitter as well. You can find me on all of that with that spelling as far as it goes. So
most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. We gonna make sure that we get all that in the description so people can check out this project, this EP, this first one, the Opening Statements Process EP. That's available right now on all streaming platforms. Man, listen, like I said, that song worth a million. That's my joint. I'm feeling that one.
Thank you, man.
I'm feeling that one a lot. I know y'all did the video on Favors, but
yeah,
the production on Worth a Million,
yes,
the hook, all that thing got me right.
That's what I wanted to showcase on that, man. Like, and that was the reason why I was like, in the process, that was one of the first ones, because I was like, I feel like the process is worth a million. Everything that we're trying to do is worth a million because of the effort, the teamwork that was put into it. Just to have people, around you that believe in the common goal, the common dream, to put that as something that's worth a million to me, as far as that goes. And hopefully people out there will start to see that as time progresses and passes, they'll be able to see exactly what we're doing. And there'll also be, we call it the documenting. So everything we do, it shows the whole creative process from behind the scenes, from sitting on the couch brainstorming to actually recording rough draft verses, to actually recording the finals, to actually getting to the videos, shoots, and everything. So once we get all of that lined up, get that narrated and put together, that's going to also follow along with the process.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, before I let you go, I got one more deep question for you. One more last deep question. And I ask this for all my guests. It's important. How is what you're doing this year going to change the world?
I would say, along with what we just spoke about with social responsibility, every song that I'm putting out there has a message to it. The intent for people to hear it is going to be a lot of things that people are going to hear from me on my songs that's actually deep life experiences, and in hopes that, when somebody else, you can hear something, and like I said, music can be emotional. There's emotions and feelings inside the music. So when you hear that and relate to that, I feel like that. Now, I'm not saying that I can change the whole entire world, but I believe that after this year is up, that even the small amount of people that took the time to actually hear, listen, understand, and feel, it will make a difference in their life. Because everybody go through some things, and sometimes they just got to hear it from somebody else.
Right.
That's some of my deepest moments. I feel like my best work is my deepest songs, because we can harbor stuff. We can harbor, emotions inside of us, experiences inside of us, and it just stays in there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know how to talk about it and get it out, or vent properly to get it out. With me, my venting comes to doing the music. And by me getting it out of me, I feel like I just digested something once I'm done. And then to hear it played back, that's something that I know when I play back and I hear it, I'm like, that's something that I was really holding inside of me for a long time, and I actually got it out now. And those are the ones that I expect by the end of the year for people that follow to hear, because I know that we all share similar experiences. Like, even if you didn't experience it, you may hear it, and it may be something that's forthcoming for you, that you'll be like, oh, and it's intended to inspire you to get past that, to do better. So in the sense of us talking about the social responsibility, that's kind of the approach that I do take with my music. Like, if you hear No Grudges, No Grudges is a song that was literally meant to speak to people about holding no grudges. I specifically talk about life events that happened to me, and took responsibility for my own part in those lyrics, as well as saying, I'm holding no grudges against nothing. And whatever happened, that's because to hold it means I'm holding it in. So grudges that could have turned into grudges, I was able to digest that out into that. And that right there set me free,
Absolutely.
Emotionally and mentally, as far as it goes. And that's how I was able to, keep moving
therapy.
forward.
It's like therapy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, my brother, I appreciate you again wholeheartedly for giving me the opportunity to sit with you and build with you for these past 30 minutes.
Yes.
Stay in touch with me. I got all your information. I'm gonna be pumping the music every chance I get, letting people know about it. But for all the audience members, I want to thank y'all as well for tuning in. I hope this has been another inspirational episode. If you like today's content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll see the buttons right there. It'll be somewhere like around here somewhere. And then until next time, just stay actively creative. God bless.
All right.
Peace.
God bless.
DMEZURES.